She was invited to his wedding to be disgraced, but arrived in a Rolls-Royce with 3 amazing kids. The townsfolk of Maplewood buzzed with excitement the day Sarah received the invitation to Jake's wedding. Some whispered in hushed tones, others seemed eager for scandal, but everyone had an opinion. The girl who once dreamed of forever with her high school sweetheart was now a single mother, bruised by heartbreak yet resilient in spirit. She felt like she was stepping into a lion's den, her heart racing with both anxiety and determination. Dressed to the nines, she knew she had to show them all what she had become: a fierce mother, a hard-working woman. In a gleaming Rolls-Royce, she arrived at the opulent venue, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. The gasps that rippled through the crowd were almost palpable. "Look at her," some murmured, while others couldn't hide their smirks. They judged. They wondered if she dared to show up, flaunting her trio of remarkable children. Ryan, wise beyond his years with chess strategies; Mia, swirling energy as she seized her sketchbook; and Ethan, whose fingers danced gracefully on the piano. As they stepped out of the car, a mixture of pride and uncertainty surged through Sarah. She felt the biting barbs of Jake's family, each jibe trying to undermine her. Yet as she inhaled deeply, the smell of fresh blooms filled her lungs, fueling her courage. She had fought to build a life on her own terms, and she would let that strength shine today. Walking into that grand hall, everything felt surreal. The chandeliers glinted overhead. Laughter and clinking glasses were like a soundtrack to her inner turmoil. But when she stood before the crowd, adjusting the mic, it felt like standing on the precipice of danger. With every glance, she could feel the weight of their judgment framing the moment. Her voice trembled, attempting a greeting, but awkwardness hung heavy, a garish reminder of the past. Then, amidst her nerves, Mia stood up. Her little heart was pounding in her chest, fists clenching that beloved sketchbook. "Mom," she called sweetly, but her voice was stronger. It pierced through the clamor of doubt. "Can I say something?" With the crowd falling silent, Mia began to talk about love and family. Her childlike clarity filled the air. "It doesn't matter who has more money. What matters is family and the love we share." Each word was like an arrow aiming straight for the hearts of those who looked on. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes as the crowd shifted. Some realized the resonance of Mia's message while others still sat unmoved, grappling with their own biases. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With that spark igniting the room, Sarah's spirit soared as people began to reflect. She locked eyes with Jake, and in that fleeting moment, shared a silent understanding of choices made and lost time. The uncertain tension was thick, hearts pounded, with unspoken questions lingering in the air. Would Maplewood embrace the worth beyond wealth? Would this community finally see the radiance found in resilience? Behind the facade of grandeur and gossip lay the real story waiting. There was hope, and for the first time, a shift crackled in the crowd, hinting at something more profound, something that might lead her and her children back to the true meaning of success. And as Sarah took a breath, she braced for the wild journey ahead, the path uncertain yet open for her, Ryan, Mia, and Ethan. As the applause filled the air, a swell of warmth wrapped around Sarah. She could feel the naysayers begin to soften, their scorn replaced with a curious admiration. Mia's voice still hung in the air like a magic spell, weaving a connection between them in this moment that was both jubilant and bittersweet. Just as the atmosphere shifted, Ryan's hand grazed her arm. "Mom, you did it." His smile sparkled like the chandeliers above. But before she could revel too long in his praise, she caught a familiar figure across the room: Jake, radiant and confident, standing next to his wife-to-be. His gaze flickered to Sarah, a mix of surprise and regret tightening the corners of his mouth. The world around them faded momentarily, each heartbeat pulsing a memory of stolen kisses and broken plans. Her heart raced with vulnerability at the sight of him. Then, in a sudden turn, Jake approached, weaving through the tables, an expression of sincerity masking his earlier bravado. "Sarah," he started, his voice steady but tinged with hesitation. "I didn't expect you to come." "I know," she replied, fighting the urge to stutter. I didn't think I could either. Their eyes held each other's weight, and suddenly it was as if time stood still. You look great, he said, clearly caught off guard by her presence, her confidence blooming like fresh flowers after the rain. Thanks. Your wedding looks beautiful. She gestured towards the decorations, forcing herself to look beyond him to the gaudy array of petals and lace. Masking her fluttering emotions, they exchanged nervous smiles, fleeting yet familiar. In that transcendent moment, it was Jake's turn to become vulnerable. Mia was incredible, he finally added, glancing back toward his soon-to-be wife as if assessing her reaction. She's got a gift, Sarah said. A hint of pride threading through her voice, but something wasn't right. The air thickened with unspoken tensions. Then from the side, a sudden laughter erupted, a group of Jake's friends tossing their heads back, reveling in a joke that seemed directed at Sarah. The laughter seared through her, reminding her just how fragile this new equilibrium was. Ryan's brow furrowed, sensing his mom's distress. That's enough, he said, marching forward. You don't get to laugh at my mom. His voice was fierce, a protective shield enveloping Sarah. Sarah's heart swelled, unexpectedly proud of his bravery. Jake shifted uncomfortably, the spark of conflict igniting between friends and foes. A smatter of whispers fluttered through the room, tension mounting. Mia, sensing a storm brewing, tugged at her brother's sleeve. Can we go play? She asked brightly, innocence dancing in her voice. Good idea, Ryan said, nodding vigorously. Let us show them our moves. Before anyone could react, the two darted away, laughing and weaving through tables, scattering the dark clouds hanging over them. Sarah watched, amazed by her children's resilience. They had forged ahead despite the whispers and glances, unconcerned by the judgments of a world that had once looked at their family with skepticism. As Jake's friends quieted, the room shifted uneasily. Was this moment about to implode? Or could it transform into a collective understanding? What are you really afraid of, Jake? Sarah dared to ask, her heart pushing her dialogue forward. Is it your wedding or the truth? The tension throbbed between them, an unseen current connecting their past with the fragile future. Sarah's question hung in the air, braided with unease and the timbre of hope. Would Jake finally confront his past, the choices that led him here? Or would he let the moment slip away, seizing the chance for honesty and reconciliation? Or would he cling to the safety of societal expectation? The energy in the room pulsated, an electric promise of what might come next. Jake inhaled deeply, the tension in the air wrapping around him like a heavy cloak. He glanced toward the small throne he and Mia would soon occupy, a perfect facade of a couple about to start their fairy tale life. But sitting before Sarah, the past swirled violently inside him, a tornado of old dreams and painful choices. Suddenly, this felt like one of those few junctures in life where he had a chance to rewrite the script. Truth? He echoed, his voice a touch softer, almost wistful. You want to talk about truth? Sarah recognized the shift in his tone, a crack in the armor he'd been wearing. Yes, Jake. Whatever that truth may be. He moved his hands nervously, fingers entwined as he tried to gather his thoughts into something coherent. Last time we spoke, it didn't end well. I don't want another blow-up, especially not here. She nodded, her heart pounding, reflecting both anxiety and a cautious hope. This was not just about the past, it was also about their kids. They needed to understand each of their parents' truths, not the sanitized versions that the world preferred to hear. I'm not here for that, she promised, her voice steady now. I need you to know how proud I am of you, of all of us standing here today. His expression shifted slightly, surprise bubbling up behind his eyes. Proud? He tilted his head slightly as if trying to decipher her words. I mean it, Jake. I'm proud of how far we've both come. But that doesn't mean we can ignore what happened between us. Or the kids. All around, the chatter of laughter and conversation now felt distant, as if they were cocooned in a separate world. He looked beyond her to where Ryan and Mia laughed freely, those innocent faces unaware of the storm brewing behind them. I can't just shove all of this under the rug. Mia is so full of light, but she picks up on everything, Jake finally confessed, his voice breaking slightly. All of it, the awkwardness, the pressure. There it was, the truth. The acknowledgement that beneath the veils of joy, there were layers of hurt that needed airing. A lump lodged in Sarah's throat as she considered their shared responsibility in nurturing their children. Let us be better for them, she said, her heart thumping heavily in her chest. This isn't just about us anymore. Beads of sweat formed on Jake's brow as he took a step closer. Are you really okay with this? With me getting married? With us being us? The flickering hope in his eyes mirrored her own turmoil. The clinking glasses, the music, the joy of the wedding felt almost mocking against this raw moment. I don't want you to just erase our history like it didn't matter, she whispered, feeling tears prick her eyes. But I also don't want to ruin this day for you either. A wry smile danced on his lips, though it didn't meet his eyes. It might already be ruined, he replied softly, glancing over his shoulder toward Mia and Ryan, who were now negotiating a dance-off with some of the other children. Just then, a hush fell over the room, and everyone turned to the front where Mia's voice rang out joyfully, leading a chant that eventually escalated into laughter. Let us show them how to dance, Mom. Ryan clapped with joy, pulling on Sarah's hand, eyes sparkling with mischief. Come on, Mom. We need you. The moment of lightness broke through their heavy conversation like sunshine breaking a storm. Sarah felt the tension ease ever so slightly. Okay, I'm coming, she said, taking a step back to allow the infectious energy to draw her in, but a lingering question gnawed at her. Would Jake embrace this openness, or would he retreat into the safety of pretense? Jake's gaze lingered on her, a flicker of uncertainty below the surface. Could he take that leap with her, building a new dynamic for their family, or would their history suffocate the promise of tomorrow? As Sarah took Ryan's hand, leading him to the dance floor, she could feel Jake's eyes on her, a mixture of admiration and concern. What path would he choose now, standing at this precipice? Somewhere, amidst the laughter and music, the weight of their shared truth hung in balance, daring them both to step forward into the unknown. The dance floor erupted in a joyful chaos, the kids spinning and twirling, seemingly caught up in a wave of unadulterated joy. Sarah laughed as Mia demonstrated a wild move, her curls bouncing around her face, her spirit contagious. Ryan followed suit, copying her steps with exaggerated enthusiasm, making the group around them dissolve into fits of laughter. Yet through that warmth and merriment, Jake's eyes remained fixed on Sarah. He felt a mixture of admiration for her ability to embrace the moment, and an intense ache in his chest, a labyrinth of past decisions entwined tightly with their present. Every laugh, every dance move was a reminder of what could have been, the family they could have built together. Just enjoy it, he whispered to himself, shaking out the thoughts like water from a wet coat. But how could he focus on the present when the past loomed so glaringly? Meanwhile, Sarah pulled Ryan closer, spinning him around, and suddenly she caught Jake's gaze. Her heart raced as she felt a spark of connection, a flicker of the trust they'd once shared. It reminded her that somewhere beneath their complicated history, there was still a foundation ready to be rebuilt. Look at them, she said, motioning to the kids, her smile genuine. They're just so happy. We did that, you know? Jake nodded quietly, his heart softening. Yeah, we did. The realization hung between them like a fragile thread, connected but strained, fragile but alive. Caught in the revelry, Mia suddenly stopped dancing and ran over to Jake. Dad, come dance with us. She beamed, her eyes wide with hope and love. Jake felt a swell of pride. This was his girl, and she deserved the best version of him. He reached for her hand, swiping a breath of courage. Then, turning to Sarah, he added, Dance with us. Maybe we can all be here together. In that moment, the walls he'd built around his heart felt less prominent. He could feel the tension ebbing away like the tide rolling out. There was no perfect solution to their past, but there was magic in the small, shared moments that made up their present and future. The music swelled as they formed an unbreakable circle, Sarah, Jake, Ryan, and Mia, swirling together. To everyone else in the room, they looked like a family. A functional, joyful one at that. It felt more real than a fantasy, and for the first time, Sarah allowed herself to breathe a little easier. But as she twirled alongside Jake, laughter pouring from her lips, a sudden chill swept through her. An uneasy thought flickered across her mind. Was this euphoria just a facade they were creating? Could they really mend fences? Or would it all come crashing down when the wedding bells rang for someone else? They danced through her worries, twirling under the colorful lights, yet that haunting question remained. How long could they sustain this fragile balance? As they shared smiles and laughter, a shadow loomed. Someone had to eventually say the unsaid. When the song ended, and the crowd clapped. Jake pulled back slightly, keeping Mia tucked safely against his side. He looked into Sarah's eyes, fueling a nervous energy that ignited sparks of anxiety as much as it stirred hope. The party raged on, laughter and music saturating the air, but the atmosphere shifted slightly as a mutual understanding passed between them. Something had to give. Sarah, Jake started, his voice stronger now. We need to talk. As she stared into his earnest gaze, reality settled around them, a brewing storm ready to erupt once more. What would they confront together, and at what cost? And just then the door swung open, a gust of cold air sweeping through, silencing the noise. Everyone turned to see who had arrived, and Sarah's heart plummeted at the familiar figure walking confidently through the threshold. Out of the shadows she came. The laughter faded as Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was Emily, the very person who epitomized a chapter of Jake's life that Sarah had tried so hard to tuck away. Dressed impeccably, the shimmering fabric of her dress absorbed all the light, making her presence seem almost blinding. Emily? The name slipped from Sarah's lips before she could stop herself. It was a whisper, charged with disbelief and a dash of resentment. Jake's body tensed beside her. The warmth radiating from their moment of connection turned frosty as Emily strolled in, her confident gait drawing every gaze in the room. Mia, blissfully unaware, danced on, but Ryan turned to look at the newcomer. Is that Emily? He asked, curiosity sharpening his innocent voice. Yes, it is, Jake muttered, his fixation now on Emily instead of Sarah. I didn't expect her here tonight. Clearly. Sarah's tone dripped with sarcasm. Her mind raced. Why was she here? Hadn't she finally moved on? From the corner of her eye, she spotted the soft angled face of Mia, her daughter, gleaming with delight. Mom, can we go dance? Mia tugged at Sarah's hand, blissfully crossing the threshold of innocence, unaware of the tension that suddenly crackled in the air. Ryan, still focused on Emily, nudged Mia gently. Maybe she just came to say hi. But Sarah could already feel the palpable divide that Emily had thrust back into the room. With every step Emily took, every smile she flashed around, Sarah felt that delicate thread they had begun to weave together fraying rapidly. They had just started to heal the wounds of their shared history, not this. Then, as if hearing thoughts seeped in worry, Jake looked back to Sarah. Hey, but before he could finish, Emily interrupted, beaming. Jake, wow, nice party. It's so great to see you. Her voice was honeyed, sweet enough to mask the stinging barbs that were sure to come. Mia squealed, giving her a hug, her innocent happiness contrasting with Sarah's simmering frustration. Mom? Mia looked up at Sarah, confusion flickering across her young features. Can we dance? Sarah mustered a smile, gripping onto the last threads of composure. Sure, honey. Let us dance. As they stepped back onto the dance floor, the surrounding rhythm pulsed like a heartbeat. But Sarah's own heart drummed a different, chaotic beat of furious insistence that this was not where she wanted to be right now. She caught Jake's eye again as they began to sway, and for a split second, the memories cascaded through her. Their late-night talks, the whispered dreams, the laughter they shared before everything unraveled. Stay with her, her heart screamed. This time be real. But as Mia twirled, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal tinged with anxiety that curled in her stomach. There had been so much promise in their earlier dance, but now the shadows of doubt threw a dimming veil over her hopes. Do you think she knows? Sarah asked, her voice low, a mere tremor against the backdrop of festivities. I don't know, Jake replied, his attention still partly on Emily, who was now chatting animatedly with some friends. We just need to focus on us. It felt like a thin veil had been pulled back, revealing the rawness of their unaddressed feelings, the ones they were both trying to ignore. Then, with a practiced grace, Emily turned to them. Are you two still together? She asked, her smile wide but her eyes sharp as knives. Or is this just a co-parenting thing? How adorable. Jake stiffened and the room seemed to pull in closer, as if leaning in to eavesdrop. Sarah felt heat rise to her face, fury and fear colliding within her. The dance floor felt smaller, tighter, as that simple question wrapped around them, binding in a knot laden with tension. Emily's arrival promised a reckoning they weren't prepared for, numerous assumptions twirling like uninvited partners in their dance of reconnection. Brief silence followed the words, hanging thick in the air. And as the awkwardness swelled, Sarah's heart raced. A new confrontation felt imminent. Could they even hope to navigate through this storm together? Just then, Emily stepped closer, her gaze steady and familiar, threatening to unravel the fragile threads of clarity they had begun to weave. "Let me make one thing clear," Sarah found herself saying, a rush of courage surging through her veins. "We're here for the kids and nothing more." And as she spoke those words, the crowd stirred, anticipating the emotional tempest that was slowly building. The silence broke like fragile glass, shards flying into the atmosphere of the party, where laughter and light had once reigned. Sarah felt every set of eyes turned toward her, anticipation brewing in the crowd. Emily, the self-proclaimed queen of awkward moments, stood unfazed, her smile still glistening like fresh paint. "Kids," Emily smirked, tilting her head slightly as if appraising their lives. "That's sweet. But surely you're not just playing house, are you?" A chill swept over Sarah, filling her gut with ice. She forced a smile, though it felt foreign on her lips. "We're not playing anything, Emily. We're doing our best. Which is more than I can say for you." Mia tugged at Sarah's hand, sensing the changes in her mom's pulse, eyes wide with confusion. "Mom, what does playing house mean?" Before Sarah could respond, Jake stepped in. "This isn't a place for you, Emily. You're not part of our lives anymore." His voice bore weight, yet cracks began to appear under the pressure of Emily's relentless gaze. "Not part of your lives? Oh, come on, Jake. These kids deserve better than two parents stuck in a play-only deal," Emily quipped, her tone sugary but biting. The room held its breath, caught in the crossfire of emotions that felt almost tangible. Sarah felt heat rising to her cheeks, each word dripping like venom. "You left that choice behind, Emily. This is about our children, and I won't let you disrupt that." "Disrupt? I was here first, remember?" Emily tossed back, confidence emanating from her, while panic bubbled inside Sarah. What right did she have to open wounds that were still healing? "Mom!" Mia's voice cut through the clamor, desperate and small. "Can we dance?" Jake knelt beside Mia, searching her eyes. "Are you okay, buddy?" "We don't need to dance right now, no, I want to," Mia insisted, her innocence undeterred by the shifting currents around her. "Fine." Sarah took a deep breath, battling emotions that churned within her like a storm. "Let us dance, Mia." They moved away from the tension, Sarah drawing strength from her daughter. As they stepped into the rhythm of the melody, she caught glimpses of Jake behind them, still locked in a staring contest with Emily. "Mommy," Mia said, her face lighting up as they twirled. "This is fun." "Yeah, sweetie. It is." Sarah couldn't help but smile too. For every faked laugh Emily cut through with sharp remarks, there was Mia's innocence, reminding her what this was all about. Yet doubt gnawed at the edges of her joy. Could they truly protect their little girl from the world and especially from Emily? Suddenly, Emily's voice sliced through the music again, as if searching for ammunition. "At least I can provide a real family. Can you say the same?" Sarah's heart sank, not just at the words, but at the fear veiled beneath them. Had she truly built something strong enough to stand against Emily's barbs? Jake caught Sarah's eye, a silent plea hidden in his expression, but he was still weighed down by their past. "Maybe in your world a family means big houses and fancy cars," Sarah shot back, her voice quavering with barely checked emotion. "But in ours, family is about love, trust, and being there no matter what." The crowd reacted, a mix of whispers and gasps swirling around them. But she couldn't let the moment pass without one more push. "What do you really want, Emily? More chaos?" "Honestly?" Emily took a step back, surprise flickering across her face. "You think you know me? You don't. Then show us," Sarah challenged, her breath hitching. "Show me who you are now, who you want to be." Just as the words lingered, the tension vibrated through the air like a live wire, crackling and volatile. Mia, caught in the conundrum of her joyful dance and the darkness surrounding her, looked between the two women, uncertainty dancing in her eyes, and as the music swelled, the room felt less like a celebration and more like a stage set for confrontation. In the cacophony of emotions, the sounds of laughter faded and the stakes rose higher. Was there any real chance of peace, or was this just the prelude to a messy showdown? Just then the door swung open, a gust of cold air carrying an unexpected guest, and it felt like the ground had shifted beneath them all. The door swung wide, revealing a figure draped in elegance that seemed to shimmer against the chaos of the moment. Everyone turned, a collective gasp rising like a wave, echoing in the charged atmosphere. Sarah's heart raced, a pounding metronome of dread and surprise. Sierra? Emily's voice broke through the confusion, disbelief mixing with a hint of mockery. There was no denying the significance of this woman standing in the doorway, a piece of the puzzle Sarah hadn't expected to fit into this night. Sierra's presence emanated a quiet strength. Her rich dark hair cascaded around her shoulders in gentle waves, and her smile, though warm, was tinged with a knowing resolve. She scanned the room, quiet confidence radiating like energy, before her gaze landed on Sarah. In that moment time felt suspended. The music faded, the laughter stilled, and for a brief second, all eyes were on this unexpected guest who had thrown gasoline on an already simmering fire. Sierra had been a close friend during the turbulent years of Jake and Emily's relationship, often a buffer between the chaos and the calmer waters Sarah had sought. "What brings you here?" Emily challenged, her tone laced with venom. "This," Sierra said, gesturing to the gathering with an inviting sweep of her arm, "is a celebration. I thought I'd come and remind everyone how light and love can thrive, even in shadow." The response was immediate. Some in the crowd nodded, eager to embrace the positivity Sierra exuded, while others seemed caught off guard, as if her mere presence had shifted the balance. Jake gave a slight appreciative nod. "You haven't changed," Sarah whispered to herself, her heart heavy yet light at the same time. This was the ally she didn't realize she needed. Mia, sensing the shift, tugged at Sarah's hand. "Mom, who is she?" "She's pretty. Just a friend," Sarah replied, swallowing hard against a lump of emotion, and then leaned down to Mia. "Let me handle this one, honey, okay?" Sierra stepped closer to Emily, an unyielding stance that drew attention. "There's enough pain floating around tonight. Both of you should focus on what truly matters." Emily huffed, straightening up, attempting to reclaim her moment. "And what might that be? Dancing in the dark while others are out there living real lives?" The word stung, but Sierra remained unfazed. "Maybe the real lives aren't the glitz and glamour you've built. Maybe they're in the quiet moments, the small victories of showing people you care." Jake, still against the wall, shifted. "What's to say you understand what matters?" Sierra turned her focus to him, and for a brief moment, a shared understanding flickered. "You always knew, Jake. You just forgot," she said softly. As Sarah watched, heart swirling with feelings she couldn't make sense of, she realized the room's weight had shifted against Emily. There were marked faces around them, some nodding in silent agreement with Sierra, others murmuring with curiosity about the dynamics shifting before them. "Mia, let us show them how we dance," Sarah blurted, breaking tension that felt thick as syrup. Taking her daughter's hand, she spun in place, ignoring the puzzled looks from both Emily and Jake. "Come on, everyone," Sarah called, her heart thudding in her chest. "Let's celebrate." Slowly, she began to twirl, pulling Mia into the motion, her laugh ringing in the air like a bell. A few others joined in cautiously, unsure but intrigued by the sudden invitation to cast aside their burdens. But Emily stood rooted, trying to understand how the ground had shifted, how she could no longer hold the same control over the narrative. And behind her masks, everyone else began to shift too, looking to Sierra, who seemed to hold within her the antidote to all the bitterness. "Mom, look." Mia's voice came through with joy as she pulled them both into a gleeful spinning dance. As laughter tentatively sprinkled back into the atmosphere, Sarah caught Emily's eye one last time. A flicker of uncertainty passed through Emily's facade, and just like that, a door opened, a chance to redefine everything once again. But the impact of Sierra's arrival lingered like smoke, the question simmering. Did she truly bring hope or just a different kind of storm? And in that electric moment, as Sarah felt the energy shift, she wondered, could peace truly coexist in the fray? Or was this only the beginning of a greater battle? Sarah felt the warmth of the dance envelop her, the lightness of laughter bouncing off the walls like a child's joy in a playground. Mia's giggles rang out, pulling her deeper into the sweetness of the moment. Each spin with her daughter felt like a tiny affirmation that she was asserting control, carving a space for herself amidst the chaos that often engulfed her. But Emily's focused glare burned through the merriment. The tension stayed like an uninvited guest, lingering at the edges, waiting to pounce. Sarah could sense the storm brewing behind those narrowed eyes. "Okay, that's enough playing," Emily finally spat, her voice slicing through the laughter. "You think this is a game? This is my life we're discussing." Sierra, standing proudly among the dancers, stepped forward with calm defiance. It may be your life, Emily, but it doesn't mean you get to dictate how everyone else should feel about it. The boldness in Sierra's tone sent ripples of surprise through the crowd. Sarah held her breath, waiting for Emily's response. Would she shrink back, or would her fury unleash? A beat passed and the room became a battlefield, eyes darting between the three women who commanded the narrative, each representing a different shade of truth. Your presence doesn't mean anything here, Sierra, Emily retorted, her voice sharp as a knife. It was surprising, perhaps not just at her words but at the ferocity behind them. You don't get to play the savior. You think you can waltz in, sprinkle a little fairy dust and all will be well? Sierra didn't flinch. Rather, her confidence seemed to soar. No, but I can remind everyone what we've forgotten, that connection is essential even in the storm. This isn't just about you, Emily. This is a chance for everyone to embrace the moment. The challenge hung heavy in the air as Sarah felt another wave of emotion crash over her. It stirred something deep within her, a desire to break free from all the expectations and pressures that had always wrapped around her like a vice. If Sierra was here with her unfathomable grace and strength, maybe Sarah could find hers too. Mom, let us keep dancing, Mia urged once more, her innocent gaze unwavering. It was an invitation not just to dance but to embrace the chaotic beauty of the night, to defy the toxic currents threatening to pull them under. Taking a deep breath, Sarah gripped Mia tighter and swirled them both faster. With each rotation, she felt the weight of Emily's judgment lighten just a bit. She couldn't help but smile, realizing that though Emily might be a stormy force, she had nothing on the will of a mother ready to fight for her family's joy. But as the dance intensified, Sarah caught glimpses of Emily's face, a tangle of anger, shame, and a flash of vulnerability that pricked at her heart. It was the first time in a long while Sarah saw more than just Emily as an adversary, but as a woman trapped by her own fear. Can we just let this moment breathe? Sierra asked, her voice now softer, almost a plea. If we keep fighting, we'll lose sight of what we really have. That resonated with a truth Sarah hadn't fully acknowledged. What did they have really beyond this swaying dance floor filled with shifting alliances? Just as hope took wings, Emily swept towards the door, her expression hardening into a mask of defiance. Sarah's heart dropped. Where are you going, Emily? She called out, a surge of instinctive fear rising. Would she take Jake? Claim victory in her retreat? Emily turned, and in that split second the air crackled, filled with possibility and dread. You think this is over? You don't know the half of it, she spat before slipping out through the door, leaving a silence that felt like a thunderclap. Sarah stood frozen, suddenly aware of everything unraveling around her. Mia's delighted laughter faded, replaced by uneasy whispers and murmurs that filled the vacuum Emily left behind. And then all at once, all those questions Sarah had pushed aside came rushing back. What would Emily do next? And what did it mean for them all? As she looked around the room, eyes wide and breath caught in her throat, Sarah realized this wasn't just about dance. It was about standing her ground. But would she find the strength to face the incoming storm? The silence that followed Emily's departure hung thick, wrapping around the remaining partygoers like an uncomfortable blanket. Sarah's heart raced, the laughter of earlier now haunting in its absence. Mia tugged on her hand, her little face painted with concern. Mom, why did she leave? Is everything okay? Taking a deep breath, Sarah knelt down to meet her daughter's gaze. Sometimes people just need space to think. But we're okay, sweetheart. We're here together. She tried to sound reassuring, but inside worry gnawed at her. Sierra stepped closer, her presence a soothing balm. We can't let Emily's anger dictate our joy, Sarah. Let us embrace this moment and hold on to the happiness we have. Her eyes sparkled with determination, and Sarah felt a flicker of strength igniting in her chest. Okay, Sarah said, taking Mia's small hands between her own. Let us keep dancing. She led her daughter back to the center of the room, where the music swelled once more. The rhythm pulsed through her, reminding her that life continued, even when a storm threatened on the horizon. They began to twirl again and slowly, the atmosphere shifted. Watching from the sidelines, glances exchanged among friends caught Sarah's attention. The apprehension melted, replaced by a sense of community swelling around them. Laughter returned, albeit hesitantly at first, echoed by those who wished to rekindle the warmth that Emily's outburst had disrupted. Then came a voice bright and light. "Look at you two. Dance like the world's on fire." It was Ashley dancing over with a beaming smile. Her arrival was like sunlight breaking through clouds, and soon, others began to join in, forming a circle around Sarah and Emma as they danced. The chaos of the evening began to recede. Sarah felt the rhythm wash over her, the music entwining around her thoughts, pulling her away from the nagging worry that lingered like a shadow in the back of her mind. "Mom, you're really good at this," Mia squealed, her joy infectious. Sarah's heart swelled. In this moment, nothing mattered more than the happiness plastered across her daughter's face. But just as the energy reached its peak, the door slammed open again, sending a collective hush through the room. Jake stood there, framed in the doorway, his expression a mixture of confusion and concern. The world tilted in that moment, drinks forgotten, laughter silenced as eyes turned toward him. "Sarah." His voice cut through the air, a quiet plea mingled with panic. He took a hesitant step closer, his eyes darting from her to the gathering crowd. What he saw must have startled him. The vibrant dance, the open connection they had created, it was all happening despite Emily's exit. What's going on? Where's Emily? A flurry of thoughts flooded Sarah's mind as she tried to compose her thoughts. The atmosphere shifted once more, uncertainty creeping back in. Would Jake side with Emily? Would he blame Sarah for this upheaval? "Jake, it's okay," she said, holding her ground, her voice steadier than she felt. "I wanted Mia to have this night. I didn't want our worlds to be defined by her anger. I just wanted to celebrate." As Jake took a step forward, Sarah noticed a flicker of vulnerability cross his face. "I think we need to talk now." The urgency in his voice sent a jolt through her, the weight of his words pressing down hard. Nothing would ever be the same after what Emily had unleashed. Just as Sarah opened her mouth to respond, a shadow moved past Jake. Emily's silhouette filled the doorway once more, her eyes blazing with unfinished business. The storm was here, and it promised to be fierce. What would happen when Emily confronted them again? Would secrets be unveiled or bridges burned? Sarah's pulse quickened as hope battled dread within her. The air thickened as Emily stepped back into the venue, the tension palpable. Sarah's heart pounded, a whirlwind of emotions coursing through her veins. What more could she possibly say that would defend the love she had built with her children, the life they had fought so hard to create? "Really, Emily? You couldn't just stay away?" Jake's voice cut through the atmosphere, sharp and unwavering, filled with a protective instinct that warmed Sarah's heart. But there was a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. He wasn't just defending against Emily. He was also looking to Sarah for support. "I thought we had just moved on," Emily retorted, her facade still strong, even as cracks began to show. A truth wafted around them like smoke, hinting at insecurities masked by bravado. It was here at this standoff where they would find clarity or be left in chaos. Mia, unaware of the heaviness brewing between the adults, continued to swirl happily, blissfully lost in the rhythm of the music. Sarah felt a weight lift just by looking at her daughter. "Mom, look. I'm dancing like a princess." The glow in Mia's eyes ignited something within Sarah that had been fading for far too long. "Let us focus on the joy our kids bring," Sarah called out, her voice steadying, her courage blooming amidst the tension. "We can't let past mistakes dictate their lives. Can't we find a way to work together?" Jake's expression softened, the loving father stepping forward, ready to bridge the gap with her. "Exactly, Emily. If we are going to move forward, it has to be for them." The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Would Emily see it? Would she let her guard down for a moment to recognize the truth standing before her? All the hearts intertwined with the laughter around them? "You think everything is just fine?" Emily's voice wavered, torn between hurt and the resolve to not let go. "You can't make up for lost time and broken dreams with a party and a dance." There was a flicker of vulnerability as she stepped into the light, a side of her most hadn't seen, and it tugged at something deep within Sarah. "This isn't about erasing the past. It's about facing it and moving forward," Sarah replied, her heart pounding. "I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here for our children. That's not just a dream. It's our reality." For a brief moment, silence took hold. Even the music seemed to pause, holding its breath, letting emotions spill into the room like sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. Finally, Jake stepped closer to Emily, determination etched on his features. If we're willing to open up, if we want a true family, even if it looks different than we planned, it starts now. We have to choose what we want for our kids together. Something shifted in Emily's eyes, an acknowledgement that spoke louder than words. The veneer of arrogance began to chip as tears of frustration glimmered. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted to be enough. Mia, sensing the emotional storm settling, walked up to her father and reached for Jake's hand, then turned to Emily. You can be enough. We can all be. Just like me, let us dance and smile together. Emily, taken aback but seeing the innocence reflected in Mia's gaze, nodded slowly, a smile breaking through her doubts. Perhaps there was a chance for connection, for understanding what they could build together, not as adversaries but allies for their children. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her as she joined them in a circle. They clasped hands, the three of them connecting as families often do when faced with hurdles, through laughter and love, challenging the past with a promise of the future. Let us show everyone how to really dance. Mia cheered, her eyes sparkling with that. Sarah led the way, igniting the music once more. The three of them swayed together, each turn a testament of healing, of possibility, uniting under the promise of a better tomorrow, not just for themselves, but for Ryan and Mia too. And in that moment, surrounded by laughter, love, and the dance floor of unity, Emily finally stepped into her role, embracing this new chapter. This incredible intersection woven through shared struggles and aspirations. It wasn't about who won or lost or what had happened before, but rather how they each contributed to a beautiful, messy tapestry of family, one filled with hope, forgiveness, and the laughter of children. As the floor filled up with people eagerly joining in, they moved together under the pulsing lights, a living testament of resilience. They were not perfect, they were real. And that was enough. It was the beginning, a bright, shining path where they could all thrive and grow, emancipated from the burdens of the past. Hands held tightly, the music surged around them, healing the fractures that had long existed. Join hands. Dance. Let go of the shadows. And just like that, amidst the joyful chaos, a new family was born. Now this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to witness future incredible transformations. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this life-changing journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and ensure you get notifications for exclusive stories coming straight to you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this moving ending. Your voice matters. Let's celebrate together.